I mean, it was just the perfect storm for me. I have a very like strategic mind for gaming, and I've like, gosh, I at age 6, I was being entered into chess tournaments, and I placed in a chess tournament when I was a 6-year-old kid. I used to play cards with the adults, and I remember at a young age, like being able to count into the deck. I could tell what all the adults had in their hands, and I knew what to play, what not to play, and I'd always beat the adults. I won a poker tournament then there at some point. I've always been obsessed with story, gaming. Here's the thing: if it was a hosting gig where I was going to step into some sort of like scripted reality show where we were
Yeah.
telling people what to say, I wouldn't be interested. But the fact that it's a game, we have a hands-off policy, like we don't interfere. The game unfolds and we capture it the way that a documentary film crew captures it. That's
Yeah.
what's interesting to me. So I can get my mind inside of the game and then run that and translate it for the audience at home, which is like I couldn't be happier. It's so much fun for me.
That makes so much sense, especially again because just following your career for so long, and as I mentioned in the beginning, the first time I met you was when you were doing your documentary, and you can see just from what you just said of how your brain works that way, that you want to see things working more almost like it's a film, watching these real life people come up. Because I worked on The Bachelor. I was a producer on that show. So
really?
so I know exactly what you're talking about, where it's not necessarily scripted, but they want things to go a certain way. It goes a certain way. And that doesn't seem to be your show at all.
Well, it's not. I mean, if you see the movie Quiz Show, for example, that was about the 1960s Game Show Act.
Yeah, of course.
If you interfere with a game show or with the prize money in any way, shape, or form, you're all going to federal prison. Like that's we have a third party company that comes to the island that handles the numbering and the values of the cases that none of us, and
Wow.
it's like a 4-level process where there's only one person who actually knows the specific the values of what's inside each cage. We don't know.
Okay.
So with that said, it's like it is truly a competition. We set up this strenuous and difficult and tense, dramatic series of challenges, and then we enter these guests in, and they're playing for really life-changing money. So I again, the documentarian in me is, I just want to see it unfold. Like, it's going to be a great show no matter what. And as you can see, like, spoiler, the first episode of this season was also the worst game of Deal or No Deal, not even Deal or No Deal Island, the worst game of Deal or No Deal ever played.
Yeah.
So, and it's still super entertaining to watch. So we kind of proved our own theory there.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's, and any game, look, I ran, I think we spoke about it last time, but I ran a trivia league for about 10 years, a movie trivia league. And there is always, no matter what, even something as simple as movie trivia, there's always scandals involved. There's always something that happens when it comes to these games. Yep. Someone tries to get a one up or tries to do something. And sports too, it happens all the damn time, right? So were you expecting that kind of going, all right, who's going to be the first person to cheat? Who's going to be the first person I got to talk to? How does it blow back on you? Because you're a producer on this show too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't looking for it, and I don't think I'm looking for anything. I walk into it just kind of like from a neutral position in the middle,
sure,
like waiting to watch things happen. Kind of on the balls of my feet, ready to go.
Right.
With that said, last year there was a moment where someone looked to get advantage in a way that was not in accordance with the rules, and I had to come down on them. Right. And then,
what's that conversation like, though, when you say you got to come down on them? Like, what do you?
I have to stop the game and explain the rules. We stop the game, stop the timer. I've got to explain the rules. I've got to explain what happened to the other people in the game, explain it in a way that the people at home can understand once we start editing. Right. And then I have to deal out whatever punishment that is agreed upon by myself, the other producers, what we agree upon. We have to enact that. Now, the point of it is that the point I'm trying to make is that as soon as the punishment was enacted and the game began, now my job is a little different. My job as host and producer, I want the best competition possible. I want the most dramatic outcome. What's more dramatic than a huge comeback? Someone who's been penalized, someone who's behind, but is going to maybe come back for the win. So now, I'm now pumping that person up who just cheated
Hmm.
in order to get their head back into the game so that they can get out there and know that it's not over, and they're going to have
Right.
to dig harder, and then the people at home are going to watch this person dig harder, which then makes the drama better. So I'm constantly seesawing back and forth between these two polarities.